And welcome to this small webinar about the new era. I'm just opening a little bit ahead to share link. So open the possibility for more to be able to attend. To see if I can catch you up. Here it is. The link. Because I know that there's a lot of ways to do this, so it's easy, but sometimes it can still be so difficult to find our way in and out of these possibilities to attend to different things. So I just open it here and there to help. And then we'll see. I don't know how much and how many people would come. I'm pretty new in the English. So, not new in using English language, but new in working with this that I'm working with now, energy and consciousness. I'm pretty new in opening into another area than Danish. So, because of this, I actually don't know how many would attend, but it's perfectly okay. Hello, and welcome. Just use a couple of minutes for you to be able to find me here. I can see that a few people is checking in. Welcome here. I'm really looking forward to share with you my idea, my knowledge, my recognition of what is the new era. And I think this is the first time that I have actually pre-opened to the topic before I opened to speak or teaching. And it has been really interesting and funny to go through what I would like to share with you, because this is something that I have been working with for like 10 years. And if I want to talk about it from the beginning, like from the foundation of what, how I see this, the new era, what is it? Then I need to also kind of go back to the beginning. So it has been kind of fun. Have a lovely day. Same to you. A little bit more comes here. Just open the energy and use a couple of minutes for you to be able to find me. And then we move on. If you are energy sensitive, you might already recognize that something is shifting, something is different. It's because as we open to this talk, this teaching about the new era and the perspective of the new era in both a small and a larger scale, I open a field of energy and energy work for us that helps us. And we are entering into this field right now, and you can put your intention on joining. So by agreeing, you can enhance the energy that opens. This energy opens to stabilize your system, for you to be able to recognize within yourself in a balance that is related to the consciousness states that goes with the new era, the seventh dimensional state of consciousness. The energy that opens helps you, helps me, helps us to enter into this state, because in this state we recognize much better a lot of different things. It's much easier to comprehend. So the energy work here helps us into this stage. And if you can relate to this, it's perfectly okay. You can still join in. And maybe you recognize something shifting, maybe you don't. It's okay. Still, it might be interesting for you to listen to what I want to share with you. So, I think we're about to be ready. Hello and good afternoon. So nice. Just take a little peep here to see if anybody asks for help to find us. Yes, one here. It's perfect. Okay, so I just share here that I want to share with you about the new era, the impact, the consequences of the new energetic currents on a global and an individual level. And this is huge. This is really a huge topic. So I will begin here. This will be the first webinar, and then I will open it in more to come. So this is like the foundation from the model that I've been working with. This is a spiritual model for theoretical and practical understanding. And theoretical and practical understanding, as we will talk about here, is important for us to get a solid foundation and possibilities for creating boundaries in our interest into working with consciousness and to actually work on the opening of the consciousness. So the purpose of theoretical and practical understanding related to this topic is to help us to stabilize through our knowledge, through the part of our consciousness that recognize a help, and also a touch of your inner knowledge. It's called attachment, I think. Attachment of your inner knowledge to be able to open. So maybe even if you have never heard about this topic, you have a strange recognition that you think that you have listened to me before. Maybe you have, but also even if you haven't, you recognize, this seems like something I already know. If it's so, it could be related to the way the new era consciousness, and it's called a lot of things. I'm just using this word for it. It's called the new era. It's called the golden era. It's called the new world. It's called a lot of different things. I'll try to open and at the same time narrowing in what it is that I'm working with here. So my name is Marianne Lane. I'm a psychic medium, a seer, and a civil engineer working within environmental topics, issues, but with a specialty within microbiology, chemistry, mathematics, and modeling, and molecular biology. Sorry, the energy just opens and then I just lose it a bit. So molecular biology. Okay, but for 10 years, all I've been doing is working with channeling and opening into visions to create understandings and possibilities also within energy work. It's really important to know that nearly everything you'll hear in this lecture, this talk, is not true. Most of it is like channel inspiration. get inspired here, and maybe even get annoyed. It's important to be moved and touched, and being inspired and being annoyed is kind of the same movement, just in different polarities. And working with energy like I do often opens a kind of oscillation where you will reach to both. All that I'm sharing with you is collected in Inner Voyages and Inner Visions since 2011. And when I began working with this, I knew nothing about anything of this, or nearly nothing. Writing a few books because my mother and my brother were interested in like spirituality and stuff like this, and I wasn't. But I stumbled over some of the books that they had, and I read some of them. That was it. And when I had this opening, like in the beginning, it wasn't an adventure. It was more like, a really hard voyage I was on that I most of the time didn't like and tried to get off this track. But as you see here, I'm still here 10 years later, more than 10 years later, and still I'm working with this. And after a couple of years in fighting it, I felt into a kind of peace with it and have been working with it ever since. And the reason why I want to share this with you is because to me, it makes a lot of sense, and that it's important when you open your possibility to use the part of your consciousness that is related to this spirituality or creativity or intuition, that you open it in a solid foundation where you know what is this and how it is, in a way where you can relate to it and where you can find your way through it in a way where it opens to a recognition within yourself that's solid and that is true to you. Truth is not about finding the exact right way that things should be explained, not in this reality. It is when we are working with science. But in spirituality, we work with finding recognitions of things that constituently persist, no matter how you turn things around, no matter how much you evolve, no matter how much you expand or higher in your consciousness. This recognition of how things is, it's persistent. It's still there no matter how you shift. This is what I call the truth. So the truth is not something that you find and then it's over. The truth is like a center of something that you recognize that's opening more and more, and that is persistent in a way that it can create a solid foundation for you to work with your consciousness that's stable and healthy and helps you to find inner peace and a way to know yourself and release yourself from being bonded in relations in unhealthy ways. Finding ways to be fulfilled and reach happiness, not all the times, but now and then, to create a possibility for energy fulfillment and interesting ways of being in a lot of good ways. Okay. Everything is energy. Okay, this is somehow it's kind of philosophic, but it's actually what is known in technical perspectives. So if you investigate everything, you can describe it due to the energy they are carrying, due to the energy stage, the atoms, molecules. If you're going deeper and deeper into this, you will find different states of energy. Energy has a wave nature. So when it's moving in waves. You can describe energy also as a potential and as a point. But here we are looking much into this. Oh, sorry. And what is important here is that all the things that I'm talking about, it's a model. And so it's only something that describes a movement and not how everything else. Okay. So everything, I just go back, everything has a wave, and the wavelength means the time that goes for a fulfillment of a whole wave from the beginning up and down again and back to the same point in the wave. The wavelength of all the energy waves, if you take them related to the earth energy, the wavelength is 2,000 years. And this is where you can see it changed. It's a shift because everything is energy. That's science. Energy is a wave nature, that's science. But that Earth has a wavelength, all wavelength of 2,000 years, that's channeled inspiration. Okay, that's channeled knowledge. It's important to see the difference. Okay, 4,000 years ago, humanity opened to rise into the next level of consciousness. The influx of energy was perfect because the energy wave of the energy all in all in Earth consciousness and Earth energy is due to both all the things that's going on at Earth surface, in Earth energies, in the spirit of Earth, but it's also influenced a lot of the influx of energy that comes through the cosmic spaces, through the star patterns, and a lot of different waves that's coming in, a lot of different energies. Some of them is related to spiritual levels due to what I've seen and what I believe in, and also that I have, after recognizing a lot of these things, found out that a lot of other people see this the same. In hundreds of years it has been described. So I'm not telling you something that's new. It's kind of old wisdom's wine, but I'm rebottling a bit by the descriptions and the models and the way to comprehend it into what I see as a modern view and a perspective. And due to the new era's perspective as well. So the influx of energy was perfect 4,000 years ago. Humanity opened to rise into the next level. Souls from many places were incarnated on Earth to impart wisdom and possibilities and to help stabilizing the consciousness as it opened. But it didn't work. You know, something went wrong, and there's a lot of different descriptions of this when you're going into spiritual texts and ways of understanding and describing these issues. I have had visions to a level that to me opens as soul legends, where I visit spaces and places that has existed before Earth was born. So the oldest parts of the universe in this universe breath is in the outermost part of the universe, because when the breath was completely new, this was the inner part of the universe, but now it's the outer part. And we are, as I see it in these inner visions, in the inner part of the universe. So we are in the youngest part. But we are related to energies, consciousness, understandings, and ways through incarnational programs that is present in all of the universe. And the souls is connected and related through fields of energy, consciousness fields. It is also present here on Earth right now. But 4,000 years ago, something went wrong, and it was something that's actually pretty active right now, so I would like to describe it when we move a little bit on. This is science. So this is not something that I invented due to channeling and voyages into other realms. This is what science shows, that the characteristics outside of strict genetic code may also be acquired from our parents through epigenetic inheritance. Epigenetics studies how molecules act as DNA markers that influence how the genome is read. We pick up these epigenetic markers during our lives and in various locations on our body as we develop and interact with our environment. This is maybe really strange, but it's words that comes from science that was shared in Nature, Neuroscience in 2013. And Nature is one of the sources of sharing science that is most trustworthy. And what this showed was that due to experience with mice, they found out that the mice was afraid of they ensured that mice were afraid of the smell of cherry blossoms, and then they found out that the offsprings of the mice and the offsprings of the offsprings were afraid of the smell, even though they wasn't together with their parents when they recognized the smell. So they still have reactions, so they inherited the reactions. This inheriting of the reactions is, as I see it, and as science also show, carried in the remembrance field that's surrounding the DNA structure. And here I open to a more spiritual perspective, where I see it like codes that's present in the remembrance fields, and these codes, they a part of them, we are inheriting them from our family, and it creates all the possibilities and disabilities in a lot of way, where we recognize this. Oh, this is like my father, this is like your dad, this is like your mom, your granddad. Or you're good at learning, you're good at playing soccer, you're good at knitting, whatever. This is something you're inheriting, that you kind of able to do it without getting taught. Then I see that 4 months into the pregnancy, when you're fetus, the kind of wires within your system begins to connect, and the energy that carries the consciousness is born. And at that time, the energy field develops into different dimensions, and the soul connects. And a part of the codes that's surrounding the DNA is related to your inherited lineage and whatever is carried there, and a part of it is delivered by the soul. The soul is only able to deliver codes that is stabilizing and helping, and not pushing, not dragging, not forcing, not manipulating. So you can see it like it's an add-on. It cannot be like a program that's installed completely that you have no ability to express ahead. So only things that you already is carrying can be kind of helped to be opened into a more stable version, a stronger version, and to another level. Okay. A model is something that describes a movement. This is a model that I have worked with and it comes to me in these teachings, general teachings I work with. It's a consciousness model. So it's described a movement. This is not how it's placed in reality. You can't find this in your body anywhere or in your energetic system. So it's only to try to describe the model. So here you see a model of the consciousness where we have the physical level, the physical consciousness, the psychic consciousness, the deepest consciousness, and you have layers that separates and kind of decide which reactions, which interactions that opens in the physical layers can be recognized in the psychic layers and the other way around. Through our deepest consciousness, where we are not aware, past lives, possibilities is brought in through the soul and the soul abilities as well. And these is carried in, as I see it, in the remembrance fields surrounding the DNA. And these points is activation points, and they is ignited in through our reality, or our meeting with the reality, through our senses, our recognitions, our reactions, our wantings, our needs. Everything that goes on inside of us is kind of working in the system. And the best, I will go back to this in a moment, but the best way of describing this is that it's a multidimensional activation. And it works like a church organ. So it's like you have been, you're carrying these different levels that can be activated. And then there can be different states of consciousness and reactions that can be activated at the same time, and they will give you a complete different meeting with reality due to which of these that's activated. I tried to make a little description here. So if you're tired, you can have one situation, it's the same situation. And if you're tired in this situation, you will have the response, I don't want to do this. The exact same situation, but you're nervous, then your reaction would be, maybe somebody else should do this. Then if you're satisfied, you will find it interesting. Maybe not having a real reaction to it, or just being observing and wanting to know more, interested. If you're full, you might have in the complete same situation a reaction, say, I can do this. Okay, how can I go on with this? This is still a model. Okay, this is still a model. So back here. So the activation is carried in the remembrance fields to the DNA, and the code is pre-programmed. And what is programming is your survival system. And your survival system is carrying the fright system and the need system, or the satisfaction system. So the fright system and the satisfaction system is what runs the system. And And what is really special with our species is that we have ignitions that runs with chain reactions. And we have chain reactions that go through all of our system, no matter how conscious we are, sorry. Okay. We also interacting with collective consciousness, and there's a lot of ways that this is described, not much in science, but a lot of in spirituality. And I will work with this in another webinar, because it's a huge topic. Okay. Take a couple of deep soft breaths, because the energy opens now, because at the same time as I'm giving this talk, the energy helps us to enter into this state of consciousness where we recognize this is the best, and this is in the 7th dimensional state. So, and a healing is going on, an energy work, and you can participate in this as well by agreeing, say, yes, I would like to join in on this. This is still a model. It's really important. Okay, so we're working with programming, and what's difficult is that the 70 to 95% is unconscious interactions. It can be trained in the stage up to 60%, so 40% is conscious interaction. And the training is actually finding ways to recognize the sign of reactions. So we can still not find these reactions and interactions completely clean and clear, but we can begin to recognize the sign. So then we know, okay, now I have this. I'm being annoyed. I'm uneasy. I don't want this. Okay, something is going on inside of me. I'm not sure what it is, but through my knowing, I'm a little bit tired and I'm a little bit pushed. So if I continue this way, I will end up being really annoyed and maybe do something that I don't like to do. Having some way of talking, a reaction, a way of behaving that I'm really not up to. This is not an ability to see the reaction, because you can't see what's pushing you, right? You can't know for sure what's giving you these reactions, but you can learn, you can train to catch it and to guess what it is, and to do trial and error to investigate it. And a lot of this programming, you can actually work with this, and you can work with it in a lot of different ways. And learning, education is programming. Learning new skills, training, anything is programming. And the difference is that you can recognize when it's programmed is when you can do it without thinking. Okay, so when you could do it without thinking, it's programmed. When you need to think about it, and if it goes wrong, if you're not thinking about it, you are programming. Okay. So the topic here is the new era. And the new era is not opening. I use this word too much. I can hear it. Sorry. The new era has a lot of impact. And one of the impact is that it creates more and more awareness, and this possibility to catch the unconscious interactions and bring it into consciousness is really strong. And the programming is also opening all over the world due to the internet and the access to the internet that nearly everybody has. And using the internet is consciousness training around the clock. How many hours do you spend? This opens to a level of reflection. And the reflection level, when it enters into what you call the seventh level, the seventh dimension of reflection level, you will open to communication by means of the soul. You begin to have possibilities to have direct connection and inspiration. Use the engine, the computer related to your soul, and this is quite awesome. It's still a model, because what your soul is able to is your soul is able to play chess with reality in a way that the normal consciousness that has been until now present on Earth, 3 to 4 dimensional consciousness, this is kind of a calculator. So the difference between a computer and a calculator is what you could see it as when you are trying to compare 3 to 4 dimensional consciousness to 7th, 8th dimensional consciousness. 7th, 8th dimensional consciousness is like a super chess player. It can not only determine the different possibilities that can be, but also which of these possibilities would be most successful, which of these possibilities would have most impact, and which possibility would you see the most. This is what a 7th dimensional consciousness can handle, can deliver. As when you're in the 3rd or 4th dimension that has been present until now, you need to calculate it. You need to sort it out. You need to think it through. You need to couple it in chain thoughts where you are finding the solutions like a calculator. Okay? But everybody who's using a cell phone or a laptop or any devices like this, they are actually training their consciousness to go from 3rd, 4th dimension onto the 7th dimension. And this gives changes both at the global level and the local level. We change our reality when we change our consciousness. And it's difficult to see when we are at it, because some of these changes, they are actually pretty fast. But we are so adjustable that in a pretty short amount of time, you forget how it was just 5 years ago. So to see the change is difficult. Also because we are carrying what you could call a lack consciousness, both lacking, like it's not constituent, it's not connected, but also like it's always not fulfilled. That's never enough. And when you are carrying a consciousness that is in lack, you always find what's wrong, what's missing. And you can always find something that's wrong, something that's missing, right? Okay, back to the problem 4,000 years ago. What was the problem then? As I've seen it in my investigation, it's an unevenly opening consciousness. This results in a very fast but not wise consciousness, a cunning and not warm-hearted consciousness that's responsible for the short run but not for the wide run. This creates a way of being where you saw the branch we're sitting on. Is this something you recognize? And this is really active right now. So we are really working fast forward, sawing the branch we're sitting on, but at the same time, we are opening to a wave that goes in the opposite direction. And this is due to the new era and the opening of the consciousness, as I see it. It has been 4,000 years of work to find a solution. Spirit work, that is. Spirit 4,000 years is a lot of different perspectives, a complete other perspective than we would have here. And the solution has been not easy, because we are a complete crazy creature, but with a clean cut between right and wrong in a soul level. And what does this mean? This means that if we go into the smallest perspective in everybody, they know what is right and what is wrong. It's not like they can handle it. It's not like they can carrying being right and wrong, but they know it. There's a cultural mirroring of the cosmic reality. So we are a global civilization that does everything right and wrong at the same time and recreates the cosmic fails. And this opens the basis of cosmic laws. And cosmic laws, represented in the steering point, opens for a lot of spiritual possibilities to get help, to find a solution. And we passed the exam in all the significant areas. And the most important one is that the true pain for suffering is worse when we do harm than when somebody is harms you. Okay, now we go into a more spiritual perspective. Okay, the plan is a step-by-step plan driven by the free will. The free will is a part of the cosmic laws. Every choice you make makes a difference. More than 25%, every fourth of the soul on earth are developed soul, old earth souls or souls from other incarnational programs. They're here, trained, ready and fit to the task. And it's a part of the plan. The codes in the book of life, this remembrance fields surrounding the DNA, activate stronger the more you are aligned. The more you are love, the more you are aligned. So the more you're carrying in love, the more, the stronger you activate the codes in the book of life. And the more you're activated, the stronger you're activated, the more you affect the energy in the mutual consciousness fields that I will talk about another time. Okay, what does multidimensional mean? This is also like a part of the topic that's important to have a catch on. Multidimensional means that you can have several balls in the air and they are supporting each other in the balancing. You can work in a context and then you can use it to find your ways around. It's a part of your natural way of handling reality. You're able to care and be responsible in both a large and smaller perspective at the same time. So you're not losing the one end of the rope when you grab the other end. So this is kind of signs that you carry multidimensional consciousness. When we are carrying this unevenly distributed opening of the consciousness, it's due to that the ascension and the dissension is not equally distributed. And it is still a model, but I would like to put a few words on ascension and dissension and the integration of both. Ascension is when you develop the way of see and understand. It's when you recognize and realize. It's when you explain and reveals. And that these abilities is developing and open to a new perspective to yourself and to your life and to how everything is. The integration of the ascension goes by your ability to recognize the new perspectives and knowledge in your everyday life and use your own word to describe it. So if you learn something by reading it or listening to some other people saying it, and you can sense this makes sense, it's inspiring, it really moves me and it ignites me in a good way, and you share it, then it's not integrated. If you're able to recognize it in your own life and in every way around, or you begin to have like an ability to discuss it, then it's integrated. The dissension is you're opening to your ability to lift all abilities, actually. So it's not like it's connected, these sentences, but your every abilities is enhanced and developing. You can lift and you can carry. So lift and carry is about responsibility, but responsibility in a way that's healthy to you and that is aligned with what is true to you. Self-insight and self-education is also dissension, and to teach yourself to be your own adult. The integration of the dissension is to be able to change your life through evolution and not revolution. Each step makes more sense and provides more peace, and you are developing the changes with small steps that interacts, and you're always create a responsibility to go back and see, this I did before, does it still make sense? No, I'm here. So you create the chain. You could call it a recall in your consciousness. The recall in your consciousness is important and creates the integration of the dissension. The ascension is what opens your consciousness to have higher perspective. The dissension is broadening your consciousness, and it's important that both is stable and that it's in the same level. So when you understand things, that these things is creating your possibilities to be more able to do stuff, and carrying insight in a way that changes your life is important. Because if you have more and more understanding, recognition, and realizations, and you can explain a lot, but you cannot live it yourself, then it opens to the shadows. And I will create another talk about that sometime. Okay, how can we use, what can we use to help ourselves to stabilizing the ascension and descension? I work with healing and energy work. A lot of different methods emerge right now because energy workers across the globe wakes up to their call. And we are sitting in it right now, so this is also like a taste of it. There's a lot of different methods of awareness trainings that's found more or less a recognized system, like yoga, mindfulness, and mental training. That's easily to attend in nearly all countries around the globe. It's amazing. And in Denmark, actually, mindfulness is present at the university level now. Okay. One of the things that is really important to work with when we are opening our consciousness, work with consciousness, is have a grip of the boundaries. To have a grip of the boundaries is what creates a solid foundation, and this ensurement of that the steps you take, the work you make, that it's healthy, and that it ensures that you're thriving more than if you wouldn't do it. This is a measure that's important when you work with consciousness, that you always look out for if this is something that gives you more than it takes, and if it brings you into a better position, a better state, a better way of being, more well-being. And it's difficult because well-being is a lot of things. So, by instance, be aware of the boundaries between reality and realities, science, spirituality, what is what is the difference between belief and knowing and being inspired by? What is the difference between creativity and productivity? You could say this is easy, but to many people who opens into the new era consciousness, and it's all unevenly distributed, it's difficult. You can see this in a lot of the youth groups around, that they have difficulties in finding the balance between the creativity and the productivity. It's different. It's important to know the boundaries between feeling, thoughts, and driving forces. Yes. New era possibilities, old era dittos. The energy goes stronger now. Opens. Okay. There's differences and forces between the old era and the new era. The new era, everything you experience in consciousness due to spirituality, in a spiritual way, you can say, you can rediscover and reuse it in your reality. This is how it's activated and integrated at the same time. So the opening of the consciousness in the new era way ensures that everything you meet is aligned with the reality. This ensures, when we go back here, that the balance between ascension and dissension is always present. It also ensures that you are aware of the boundaries, and it actually is through the boundaries and the description of the boundaries, the revolution of the boundaries, that you open the new era consciousness. So this is creating a stabilized, evenly distributed opening. In the new era, the security within the energy work, you have no direct contact with the energy. There's complete separation, and only intention points and interacts indirectly with the energies. So this is kind of antiseptic. It's easy to access and opens in everyday life. It's natural and opens in your own perspective. It's not something that you need to pick up somewhere. It's always already there. Okay. This is just an example, and sorry for the drawing. This is an example of the difference within the energy work. There's a lot of examples, but this is just one I brought in. Healing by new era energies and how to understand the mechanisms. Here in the small pictures, I try, and this is not what you think. Sorry. This is my try to write the dimensions that is related to the main centers in the energetic system that goes through the main line throughout the body. The first in the root, the second that's related to oh no, I'm not going through that now. Sorry, another time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first is where you sit. The second is near the navel. The third is in the area with solar plexus. The fourth is in the area with the heart, or aligned with the heart. The fifth is in the throat. The sixth is with the third eye, between your eyes. And the seventh is on the top of your head. The eighth dimension is then aligned with 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And this is the ascension, and this is the descension. This is my try to illustrate the energetic fields, the personal energetic fields related to your consciousness. When you're carrying this third to fourth dimension, then you will have a strong energetic field in your body. Your body is a part of the energetic field, and the surrounding just about 10, 20 centimeter around the body. Everybody is also carrying the fifth to sixth dimensional energetic field because it's related to your feelings in different levels. The feeling is also presented in the third to fourth dimension, but that's really related to, oh, I don't want this. I'm hungry. I'm sad. Immediately when you have interaction with these reactions and it creates more complex feelings, it's related to the fifth, sixth dimensional field that's like this kind of egg formed field of consciousness. In the 7, 8 dimension, it's completely spheric. And this is where your soul comes first, and you begin to have the possibilities to get an evenly distributed consciousness field. Okay. When you work as a healer, this is like I tried to make a drawing of this. I'm a healer, and with my intention that's related to the first 3 dimensions, I put my intention to do a healing. Then the healing is ignited in the 7th dimension and point towards an already programmed healing that's placed programmed in levels of our energetic field on earth that we're not reaching when we walk around in our everyday lives. So it's undisturbed. It's like when you have a program on your hard disk and it's not accessible, unless you are having access because you have permission. It's also like that with healings. Some healers have permission to work and to program healings that other people use. This is the one who's receiving the healing, and there's no exchange at all with the energy. The healing just goes from the area where it's placed and enters into the same level, the 7th dimension level, and the system take in the energy in the way that's perfect for the system. So the new era energy is intelligent and is balanced, and it fits to everyone. It's secure, and it's not dependent at all on the balance and the what you call the training from the healer. In the old era, there was the energy was partly created by the healer, and the quality of the healing was much related to the healer's possibility to keep themselves clean and strong. New era, like security, and old era engine. Is this something in between that I'm working with? It's still secure in a way that there's no exchange of personal energy, but in this part, the programmed healing enters into the healer, or signaling to the healer that their systems should create. But in this 7 dimension, the energies that's needed into the first 7 dimensions, so the energy will work in deeper layers of the receiver. And this is possible when you're carrying the balance in the dissension, because it's the dissension that ensures that the created energies is unpersonal and clean. So just a little description, a little way. What is the perspectives? The perspectives of the new era, as I see it, that is good to carry on, is that reality is a mirror. If you find it difficult to find the edges, but what is this? What can we do? What can't we do? Check it out. What can you do with technology? You can do the same with energy. So I can reach you across distance. I can reach you across time, because we can do this with technology. Due to the internet, I can reach you here now, and due to the ability to create a video, I can also meet you with the energy across time. The more different dimensions you bring in, the more difficult it is. It's also good to have the perspective. How was your childhood? What was possible then with technology? Open this perspective to see if you can even imagine the possibilities of the future. You cannot, but you know it will change a lot. I use this myself. It's important to believe, it's important to dream, but make sure with all perspective and experience that it aligns in all your dimensions. And this means that you have solid foundations for your dreams. Okay, and your beliefs. So you can carry them and they're not disturbing you. This was the end of the slideshow. And my first tryout to do a talk like this. I would like to hear if you have any questions. And I hope it was still interesting. You know, I'm usually just talking and talking and talking freely, opening the energy, doing a lot of stuff like this. But I had this guidance that it would be good to try to do it like this. And of course, I'm not trained in both working with energy and using the slides at the same time, but I hope it worked. See if I can do it like this. Okay. So this was kind of an entrance into how I see the new era, energy, consciousness, what is going on right now. So this is kind of the first step into the models and the recognition, and I will open to more. Of course, I would like to hear if this resonates, if this helps, if this enriched you in any way. And I'm really interested in if it opens to any questions, because in these years, when I worked with investigation of these things through the voids and to the inner visions and the inner voyages, in most of them, They have been launched due to questions that people have asked me. Excellent explanation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So any questions that comes up, and if it comes afterwards, I would try to find your questions and open them to try to answer them in the next webinar, the next talk, or what you call it. You understand what I mean? So good. This is like perfect, you know? Then I'm nailing it. So if I reach you, if you understand, then it's perfect. Thank you so much. And if you joined in and you didn't understand, it might still be good. If it's inspired you, even if it annoys you, if it makes you think, and maybe in the next hours, days, or weeks, you begin to recognize something of what I'm talking about here. Okay, just see if there's any questions in here. I know that they can be here and there, so just look out. There's one more place to see, and it's okay. I know that. Just my students is very good healers. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your recognition. Yes, I worked a lot with teaching people to heal and to use these possibilities, because when I began with this work, I found out that so many people got help, and if I at the same time should work with this, collecting knowledge and teaching, and then I had to teach a lot of other people how to use it. So this is a huge part of my purpose. Okay. Thank you very much. So I think I'll say thank you from here and now, and I will share this here and there, see what would open, and then when I get the call, either from one of you or from the guidance, and I will make another small teaching, another talk. I know a lot of your students, you have done an excellent job. Thank you so much. And a question here. I heard you talk about how learning integrated into one's system. Would you get into a few exceptions to that? Yeah. Okay. I just open this again, find the slide. Okay. See if the slide helps. Maybe it doesn't. Okay. So we're carrying these programs. The programs is running in your system. Okay? And it's carried in the book of life, in the energetic field surrounding your DNA, the remembrance field. And this was the model where I tried my best to describe how it works, how it interacts, and the learning is creating new patterns into the system. And this is a really, really bad model, because this is only 2-dimensional. And even if I make it 3-dimensional, it's still bad. And it was due to the fact that all these buttons that we are, that is different states of being, moods and emotion that's carried in as a foundation, carpets that we're walking on, each of those, and also, still in this description, I carry it in like low because they are interacting as well, right? So when they are acting, and they create like different waves that this is working in, this becomes multi-dimensional, so this is something that waves, this is something that changes all the time, but there will be like chain reactions in here that is more easy to go, that's stronger than others. And this is what learning is about. Learning is when there's kind of roads and tracks in here that works and functions in a way so you don't have to sort it out, so it begins to work by itself, like it's a program that's automatically running. When we are learning, and we are learning in a way that's activating and makes our consciousness work, we begin to create patterns and roads in this that's what you could call stable and balanced. So when you are learning, nearly no matter what it is, the learning helps you to stabilizing this system, stabilizing your consciousness, create stable patterns. And it's important because the patterns that we are carrying, if it's not run by something that's stabilizing, it's destabilizing itself, and it's due to fear and needs. And this is the part where, see, where was it? This was the plan where I was so fast and a little bit fresh to see that we are complete crazy creature. That we are a complete crazy creature is due to this fact. And maybe you have recognized this yourself, that if you're doing nothing, if you're bored, if you're not have something that kind of pushes you, that you go into ways of being that is stupid. Have you ever thought about yourself like that? I have really often thought about, it's impressive how stupid I can be. Just as clever as I am, just as stupid. And the possibilities to lower my stupidity opens by using my consciousness in a lot of ways, stabilizing ways. So this is also a part of the plan, and the usage, actually, the consciousness training around the clock. How many hours do you spend? Of course, it's also about how you use it, but because the programs and the different systems that you use, they're developing, so they're getting more and more difficult to use, actually. Of course, they are created to have a pretty low learning curve, and this is created by mirroring your consciousness way of already functioning, but it still creates a stable, continuously patterns, because you use it the same way, kind of, every time. So this is a system that helps us to stabilize, as I see it. Did I answer your question? Please help me. I'm doing it so well. Thank you so much. Did I answer the question? Otherwise, just throw me the ball. I love the questions. It's a little bit difficult with the language still, but it's better now than when I began some month ago. So I'm learning the patterns that goes with the unnative language, slowly develop, stabilizing, and it helps. Okay. So this was also like a show out of how it works when you ask a question. So please join me again. Put the questions up. Oh, in Danish. Okay. This is about the shift. And this is about that when the shift is opening, it's like nothing is, no laws is ruling, right? This is what you're talking about. That in the shift, we go into what you could call hysteresis, and this is where the rules is kind of disappearing. Is this what you're meaning? Is this what you're talking about? So what we're leaning upon is difficult to find, and it makes exceptions. Yeah, you can say so. And this is about that it's really running really fast. It's also about that we are actually cutting the branch that we're sitting on. It's about the development that goes so fast that we are kind of growing out of our disabilities. And in this growth, it's really difficult to find a balance because we cannot find what we're related to. And this is actually, I just shared, this is one of the reasons why when we are, I think it was, this is one of the reasons why integration of the dissension goes with evolution and not revolution. Because when this is changing so fast and you have difficulties in leaning upon something, if you take steps that's too large, you lose what you rely on and what you relate to. Then you create disturbance in the fright system, and then you're destabilizing. And maybe you're even not recognizing you're destabilizing because you have this possibilities to just go into another layer, find peace here, but then you lose it. Then you lose the stable opening of the consciousness. You're destabilizing yourself. So this is quite important, that we are using so small steps in the opening of the evolution of our consciousness that we can relate to them all the time, and that we have the knowledge of ourselves and how we know ourselves that still persist. It's still true. It still makes sense. If we take a jump into a complete other way of living and being, and it's too big, we lose what we are relating to. We lose our foundation. So it's unhealthy. Of course, sometimes you can do it to create the reaction, but a lot of people end up using it as a way of getting out, or to see if they can run through it. But if you use these possibilities to run through it, to get out of it, it will catch you. So it's important that each step makes more sense and provides more peace. So this is kind of a way of ensuring that you're not running out of yourself with these possibilities. But for sure, it's a problem, and it's a problem also because in in the old era, if we could say like that, in the old era, we used to learn by our grandparents and our parents, and this ensured that we were connected. Now, when we learn and it makes kind of a disintegration, it's important through the lineage. It's important that we ensure the integration by ensuring that we can relate to ourselves and our life as we are going on this path. Really, a really good question. Thank you so much for this as well. Yes. It's difficult. It's not easy, but at the same time it is. And how could this be? It's because the programming opens right now. It makes it difficult to find our ways because it's not so clear. The patterns, the disturbance is going down, but at the same time, if we choose the healthy programming, if we choose to go with the evolution and not the revolution, we have the possibility to really make fast changes and to release a lot that we were bound to carry earlier. Yes. Any more questions? Slowly releases the energy for now. Thank you so much. And really happy for sharing here and looking forward to a lot more. I promised to say that actually, if you are seeing this and you are in the area or have any idea of going into the area of Portland, Maine in the United States in May, then the 6th, 7th, and 8th of May, I will do teachings. So the 6th of May, there will be a gathering for everybody to be able to come and to listen, and I will present myself and a little bit like this, and you can ask questions, and then there will be a 2-day course, teachings, the 7th and the 8th. The days before, the 4th and the 5th, I will do sessions, and the same again the 9th and the 10th. So just put it out here, and there will be a lot more descriptions in the week to come. Okay, looking forward to see you here and there, maybe even in Portland, Maine.